Hello. So today I want to tell you about the game Fruit Boss from West Coast Games. And this is a 2 to 4 player card game that has some market manipulation going on and set collection, and it is fantastic. West Coast Games saw how much I really love Desert Oasis, which is a 2 player only, and asked me if I wanted to try this. And I'm loving it. I know they have a third game. I can't wait to try that one. So let me tell you about this one. First of all, if you want to watch the funniest video that explains this game that is set as like a 1980s VHS human resources video, check it out on their website. But in this game, you are going to have 5 cards in your hand, and in front of everyone in the table, there's going to be 5 markets for fruit because we are trying to be the fruit boss. So there are 6 different types of fruit in this game. I think the artwork looks phenomenal on these cards. Again, they just crush it with the look. And each of the types of fruit is worth a different amount of points. So within each type of fruit, there's multiple 1s, 2s, and then there's only like 1 5, which is going to be important for scoring later. So if you can score those really high point cards, that's going to be a benefit. Then there are 2 types of special cards. There's 3 of which in the deck. There is this cat, and it will eat one of the fruit out here and take it out of the game. And then there's a wild card. So you put it wherever you want, it's wild. And because this is a 2 to 4 player game, they include 4 player aids. So on your turn, you are going to perform up to 2 actions. So you're going to perform one, and then you're going to perform a second one, assuming that you would like to. So to start out, each of the markets is going to have a card dealt to it. And it's okay if some of them are the same or different, because there are going to be ways during the game that you can move those around. You will then also have a hand of 5 cards. And at the beginning of your turn, you always draw up to 5 cards. So there are 6 types of fruit in this game, and you are going to be collecting fruit. However, you only get to score 3 types of fruit that you collect. So you're like, great, if I collect 5, I just score my best 3 and we are golden. No. You only get to score 3 for positive points. Any other types of fruit you collected will be negative points. So you need to be careful and judicious in how you collect your fruit. So on here, it tells us what our actions are. The first action is you can add 1 or several cards to any given pile. So if I have multiple cards of the same type, I can play them to a pile that has the same type. So for example, I could choose to play both of those there because the wild card is a lemon, or I could choose to just play 1 as my first move. Then your other move is you can combine stacks in the market that are the same. So I could be like, you know what? Those are the same. I'm going to combine those. I've now opened up a free one, so I can now play whatever I want there as my second action, because that playing cards action counts to an existing stack or an empty stack. The third option is you can slide a stack as far as you want if there is open spaces. So let's pretend there was this. We could then slide in an unbroken line for move 1 and combine for move 2. So it gives you a lot of different actions of ways to move things around. And then the fourth one is you can use a cat to eat one of the fruits. So let's say that this is someone else took their turn and this is what we have going on. How in the heck do we collect these fruits? That is a great question. So you are going to play cards out, and whatever you play out, you may then collect one of the piles next to it if it is worth less. So that's where it gets tricky in playing your moves, because the pile you're playing on is not the pile you're collecting from. You're collecting from an adjacent pile if it's less. If it's not less, you can't collect it. You still played the cards out, you just didn't collect anything. So for my first move, let's see. If I move this to combine, that makes that worth 6. And the one next to it's 5. So I can't do anything. But for my second move, I can put this here, and this is now worth 7. So I collect the oranges and my turn would be over. Play would then proceed to the next person. When it comes back around to me, I draw back up to 5 cards. Now, the other interesting thing that can happen is you can topple a fruit market. So let's just get a few more cards out there and pretend some things are happening. So let's say that in my hand of cards, I had this and I was like, well, guess what? I noticed that you are collecting plums and I don't like that. So if I ever make a stack that is worth 5, it topples and is out of the game, and an adjacent one topples. And I'm going to adjacent cut out the 4 because I'm not collecting lemons and I don't want someone to get that 4. So there's a lot going on. When you're playing with 2 players, you can kind of set your moves up a little bit better than with 3 or 4. So it's very interesting. And you keep going. Once this deck runs out, you keep going until someone has run out of cards. Everyone gets a final turn, and then we go to scoring. And that is where the fun happens. So as I said, you can only score, let me give myself some cards, 3 types of fruit. So if you have more than 3 types of fruit, you can't score those. So let's say this is what I ended up with. So I'm going to pick my 3 highest fruits. So I'll pick this one. This has 3 cards in it. And you take your highest number, which is 5, times the number of cards. So this stack is worth 15. This stack is only worth 12 because I only got the 4. And then this stack would be worth 8 because 4 times 2. And then this stack would be -4 because the 2 was my highest and I had 2 of them. So that's where it gets really interesting in what you're collecting, because if you're getting a bunch of cards, but they're all 1s, that's not going to do you a whole lot of benefit at the end, because it's your highest valued card in that stack times the number of cards in the stack. So it's really interesting. It's one of those games that, like, in concept, I have 4 moves I can make. I can play cards onto a stack. I can have a cat eat a card. I can slide cards over, or I can combine cards, and I'm going to take stacks that are worth less value. Again, very easy concept, but man, do the decisions get tricky and juicy really quickly. So Fruit Boss is an excellent game. Loving what West Coast Games is putting out. I can't wait to try their other game and see what else they come out with. But Fruit Boss, fantastic game that you can explain easily, but gives you huge depth of strategy. So let me know if you've tried it and what you think of it. Give me a like and a follow, and I'll keep bringing you more board game content. Thanks. Bye.